going on, Imperials? Emperor Cubone here. Pokemon Gold and Silver have recently come out on the Virtual Console and given everyone a chance to have their own Johto journey once again. I've been having fun thus far, and even though I'm currently stuck on my self-imposed search for a stupid shiny Sudowoodo, there are some things that I've noticed up until this point. People often point out the weird sprites in the first generation, but looking back, Generation 2 games have their own fair share of oddities. What made me even think to start this video was when I first saw Spinarak. For some reason, it's purple. That's very strange since every other time we see it, it's green. Somebody didn't seem to be doing their job here because the games came out first, so I'd imagine that was their intended look. But the uniformity of the rest of the material makes me think otherwise. And even its shiny form looks different from the real shiny form later on. They don't even swap colors or anything. So, I don't know what happened here, but Spinarak was originally a totally different spider Pokemon when it first came out, and nobody seems to talk about it. Next is our old friend and problem, Bellossom. Its original sprite is green with lots of pink flower petals. And while the ones on its head turn out close enough with the red, the rest of it is nowhere close. How does pink represent green and yellow? But what really interests me is Bellossom's shiny form in these games. Its flowers take on a more orange-red look, but its skin becomes a dark blue. This makes Bellossom actually look like the rest of its line, which is pretty cool. I think this is how the shiny form should actually look, or maybe even its regular form. Instead, the shiny later turns into a strange purple color, and any lingering connections to its past are gone forever. One most people are familiar with is the Smeargle swap, meaning, in Gold and Silver, Smeargle had red paint on its tail, and its shiny form had green paint, while this was later switched out. Why? Nobody's quite sure, but this animal artist isn't the only one with shiny troubles. The unknown can be found all in the ruins of Alph. And in Generation 2, this was their shiny form. It may not seem that different since their regular shiny form is indeed blue, so that may have been the intention. But the blue, to me, more closely resembles how it should look because its regular form is green. Why is it green? I have never seen any green unknown, but that seems to almost be their goal here. A vague outline may not be enough to declare it as a certain color, but they seem to have taken notice of the mistake because they changed it to its rightful black in Crystal. Jumpluff is another Pokemon with slight but noticeable changes. Originally, the spores were more of a white color, which actually makes sense. But later they opted for a more yellow hue to represent the powerful spores this Pokemon possesses. It's a minor change, but at least we can all be thankful that they didn't keep the square-shaped shadows from Colosseum. Pineco's sprite in Gen 2 is very dark, almost a black color. It's kind of hard to make out. It didn't seem to stick long though, because in Crystal they changed it to closer resemble the bluish color we know today. Well, actually it's kind of more of a green in 3D. But I can confirm that no matter the color, it is no less annoying when it blows itself up in your face. A very interesting one to me was the Togepi family. Togepi has a general pinkish tint to it, and its blue spots look almost black. And Togetic doesn't appear to have anything besides the red spots. That seemed noteworthy on its own, but when you look at their shiny forms, they seemingly switch to all blue. We had all seen Misty's Togepi by this point, so it's strange that the best that they could do was seemingly to split it in half. Good old Stantler caught my eye due to its incredibly dark nose and hooves. I was pretty sure those were brown, and I was right. Now, it turns out Stantler had a black nose all the way through Gen 4, until Heart Gold and Soul Silver finally fixed the problem started in the originals. I'm perplexed by how a misconception that was later proven true was able to persist so long in my mind, but I'm just glad I was eventually right. The fire starter, Typhlosion, and its family look pretty much the same, the only thing of note to me being that the top portion of their fur looks more red than the standard color we know it to be. In fact, these Gen 2 sprites look more like their shiny colors nowadays. But when looking at their shinies from the original games, they look more like the normal forms, with the purple fur more closely resembling the dark blue we're accustomed to. So it seems likely that they might have swapped these sprites too. But I kinda wish that they had kept the purple flames for the shiny, because that looks really cool. Magcargo's original sprite had a more fuchsia color for the molten rock, and a reddish tint for the cooled off shell. This is another standard sprite that looks surprisingly similar to its shiny form later. Its Gen 2 shiny looks outright blue, which I think looks way better than what they changed it to. Interestingly, in Crystal, they changed the standard shell to gray that we know it to be, and kept the shinies as red, so at least we know exactly where that split got started. But the most drastic change of any Generation 2 sprite has undoubtedly got to be Sneasel. When this Pokemon debuted, it was brown with several feather-like protrusions and a frosty white color. This is a stark contrast to the black and red we know it to be today. I don't know how their wires could be so crossed on this one, but there is a serious lack of communication from someone. Or they just saw how it looked and thought they could do it better. But what's weird is that the shiny form is exactly the same. Shinies were determined by swapping the colors of the pre-existing sprites through an algorithm, so it's just strange that the shiny colors would remain exactly the same when they changed out all of the base colors so drastically. So, those are the biggest discrepancies I found in the sprites of the Generation 2 Pokemon games. What do you think is the most interesting one? Let me know down in the comments. Also be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And we'll see you around next time!